Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome back in to another edition of Astros Recap. It is Sunday night, 11:18 p.m., May 23rd, so probably take it close to the midnight hour. We'll see here. But, yeah. Another week in the books for the Astros. Very frustrating week, so I'll try to, do these podcasts is almost a way to vent for me, but we'll see what we can do here. So 2-4 this week, winning 2 of 3 in Oakland, then going to Arlington and getting swept by the Rangers. So the Astros were actually playing pretty good baseball, after sweeping the Rangers last week, and they were 7 games over 500 and starting to move things in the right direction. Had a chance to actually jump into first if they took 2 of 3 over the A's, which they did do. So they had first place by a half a game going into Friday's game. And then, they just completely lost it. And when the Astros lose, you can pretty much guess the way they do it. And, yes, it's their bullpen. It's their crappy bullpen that can't seem to find a way. The offense goes out there. They score runs. They get leads. Our starters usually lead the game with a lead, and then our bullpen, time and time and time again, find a way to blow games, and this is no different. It's happened all year. The Astros potentially could be, 15 to 20 games over 500 if they just had, 2, 3 decent bullpen arms to bridge the gap to get to Ryan Pressly. The Astros just don't have that, and Dusty Baker takes a lot of criticism. A lot of it, he deserves a lot of criticism, I'll say that. But also, I try to be fair because he doesn't have a lot to work with in the bullpen. I mean, there's guys, if I'm Dusty Baker, I'm going through every single guy I have to try to find some combination that works in those, back half, late inning games where you're either tied, up a run, up 2 runs. If it's any type of close game in the late innings, I'm going to try every combination because whatever he's doing right now, it's not working. And Dusty Baker refuses to try every combination. There's people like Kent Emanuel, who for some reason never sees the field in any high leverage, tough spot situation, which I think is a big mistake. Especially, you have all these guys that have proven that they can't get outs in these situations. Kent Emanuel hasn't even had the chance. So give him a chance. If he fails, then you can try somebody else. But to not even give him an opportunity is just insane to me. Joe Smith, who I just actually thought about this a few hours ago. Joe Smith obviously got off to a terrible start. Terrible start this year. He's so bad that, I was ready to write him off, DFA him, whatever. But Joe Smith, I haven't seen Joe Smith in a game. It feels like a week at least. And I'll pull up my box scores here in just a second. But Joe Smith's another guy that his last few outings, which have been few and far between, he hasn't been absolutely terrible. So, but Joe Smith, I am done seeing Brian Abreu. He is on the SHIT list of players I can't stand. Of course, Brooks Raley was on that list. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But Brian Abreu, Andy Noli Paredes have been added to the list of players I can't stand, along with Carlos Correa, because he's just a waste of time at this point. But Kyle Tucker, who was on the list, he's sort of worked his way off. He's been a little bit better, but still not great. Brooks Raley's in permanent ink. We'll talk, like I said, we'll talk about him in a little bit here. But, look up and down the bullpen. It's not good. It's not good. And there's nothing there. Yeah, when I do these podcasts and I get, speechless like I just was a few seconds ago, I have to keep these podcasts clean. I can't say how I really feel. So that's why I try to find a way to say what I want to say without, going completely off the rails. So, we'll go through some games here. Obviously, the Astros potentially could have gone 5-1 this week. They had leads in 4 or 5 of the 6. The only game where they didn't hold a lead was today. and they were down 2-0, tied it, and then but yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. But every other game they had the lead. So even the first game, they should have swept Oakland, to be honest with you, because in Tuesday's game they had a lead. They were up here, as we'll go back through some things. So just to give you a quick preview, I will be blaming Dusty Baker for a lot. I'm not very happy with his decision making, and he has a tough job because it's who do you go to in the situations where you have a bullpen where you really, you're taking chances on all these guys that have proven that they can't get it done, and then you got, other guys that you just never even, like Kenny Manuel, for example. I just talked about him. I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, but yeah, Dusty Baker, he's throwing people out there trying to find somebody that can do something, and he's tried Brian ABREU time and time and time again. And Brian ABREU, all I've heard of Brian ABREU, obviously hadn't seen enough of him to get a full sort of grade, or I don't have going into this year, I didn't have anything against, or I wasn't in favor of Brian ABREU. It was a chance to show what you got here. You're getting your first real chance to not only, make the 25-man roster, but stay on there and be a guy in the bullpen that we can try to rely on. But all I've ever heard of Brian ABREU is he's got great stuff. He's got great stuff. Yeah, well, his great stuff doesn't translate into getting outs in big spots in games, and he's choked enough times to where I won't care to see him anymore. Of course, Dusty Baker gives these guys chance after chance after chance. This is the same thing A.J. Hinch did, basically, which is why I didn't like A.J. Hinch. Bullpen management, it's just, yeah. I might go in so many different directions. I've already started this pod it's a frustrating week to say the least here. So here we go. Tuesday, they lose 6-5. Oakland walks it off. Christian Javier didn't pitch particularly terrible, but also wasn't very good. Guess who gets the loss in this game? Yeah, Brian ABREU. He screws it up, of course, yeah. But the Astros scored 2 quick runs. Jordan Alvarez had an RBI double there. Yeah, Tucker hit a home run. So they were up 3-1. Laureano had 2 home runs. It was 3-2 for a while there. So the Astros had a lead here, and then they get 2 in the top half of the 7th after Oakland tied it. So they tied it at 3. And then the Astros get 2 more in the top half of the 7th there to take back the lead. So some resiliency, I guess. But Brantley had a big RBI double to score a run, and then Gurriel sack flies. So you're up 2. Again, you're getting into those late innings, and yeah, part of the issue with our bullpen and how bad they are is that our starters, the less innings our bullpen has to pitch, the better. So if your starter can go 7 innings, I'd feel okay with trying to get through 2 innings with the bullpen. But I mean, I sent out a tweet yesterday after they blew yesterday's game. I was like, you might as well just let our starters throw 150 pitches. And if they fail, at least that's somebody different than the bullpen that continues to fail time and time and time again. To which a coworker replied and said, "Well, 150 pitches gets you about 5 2/3 innings with our starters." And I said, "All right, well then let them throw 200 pitches, because I mean, again, I'm just sick and tired of seeing the bullpen blow games time and time and time again." So. But yeah, so they took the lead here 5-3, top half the 7th, and then here comes the bullpen, and you just hold your breath when this bullpen comes in, and they come in, and rightfully so. So Paredes, Paredes, who we talked about on last Sunday, who came in, had a good outing, first one back from the IL. One thing I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I actually, when I'm watching games, usually I'm on my phone, I'm doing things. I'll obviously direct my attention if it's a big spot, preparing myself for the disappointment. But what I do a lot is I one thing I did last week is when Inoli came in, first game back, I wanted to watch Inoli because one thing I always expect, and the thing he showed us in his 3 outings before he got hurt, went on the IL for a month, he couldn't throw strikes. So it's like, all right, let's see if he can throw strikes. I mean, he's had his time off, he's rehabbed, let's see. And sure enough, he did, and he was getting outs, and he did fine. So his second outing now here on Tuesday, it's Inoli, high leverage spot, dude. You got a 2-run lead here. Let's see what you can do here. After Javier goes 6, 5 hits, 3 runs, they're all earned. Javier struggled giving up home runs, especially in the month of May. Gave up 3 home runs here. I think 2 were to Laureano. I think the other one's to Matt Olson. Not exactly sure. I can't look at that right now, but he did give them a chance. I mean, you go 6 innings, you give up 3 runs. That's a quality start. And Paredes comes in, and Paredes gets 1 out, gives up 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned. He walked 2. Surprise, surprise. Struck out a batter, but Inoli Paredes can't throw strikes. It's that simple. He can't do it. He gets too amped up when he comes out of the bullpen. He gets too, and now that you got fans and the capacity is increasing, things are just going to get worse. So Inoli, again, another guy, he's got great stuff, just like Brian Abreu, but he can't control his emotions. He can't do it. He's on the list right now, Inoli, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on that pen when I write his name down because Inoli Paredes can't throw strikes. He can't do it, and you can't have a reliever in close games that can't throw strikes. He can't do it. He's on the list. He sucks. That simple. Going into the year, I wanted Inoli to sort of close games. Boy, was I wrong. I was so wrong because he can't throw strikes to save his life. And yeah, I'm going to be tough on Inoli, mainly because of this reason. You pitch. You had three outings or so before you get hurt. Okay, you go on the IL. Okay, you weren't good in your 3 outings prior to going on the IL. You couldn't throw strikes. You have a month off to sort of rehab, figure out how to get better. And he can't do it. He's going to get a lot of criticism. Blake Taylor, if he comes back and struggles, he'll also get a lot of criticism. So, I mean, when you go on the IL and you take a month off, and you come back and you're the same guy you were, yeah, you deserve blame. He's on the list. Inoli Paredes cannot throw strikes. That's the best way to sum him up. He can't throw strikes. He's a reliever that comes out. He gets too amped up, too emotional, and it works to his detriment. I mean, some people, it works in their favor. Like, here's a great example. Grant Balfour, if you remember him, reliever who was on the Oakland A's when they were actually winning divisions, and he was a closer. He would get out of the bullpen, and he had, like, this attitude of where he wanted to fight like everybody, and that actually got him ready to pitch. For Inoli, he just can't control. He's immature, can't control his emotions, and it works to a disadvantage for him. So Inoli, yeah, he also pitched on Saturday, and he stuck up the joint there as well. So he can't be trusted at all, at all. But yeah, he only gets an out, and then you had to get him out of there, and you bring in. You bring in Andre Scrubb, who actually is a guy that had shown us quite a bit, I feel like. He's fallen off a cliff, so Scrubb comes in. He actually didn't do bad in this game, though. He got through the inning that Inoli sort of set up badly. Stanek comes in. Stanek actually has been struggling lately as he gave up a run. It was earned. He walked 2, so Stanek, the one guy you actually trust in that bullpen, he blew the saves. So, I mean, yeah. And then Abreu comes in the 9th inning. And, of course, Abreu, which he's done all year, he loses the game. He gives up a run, an unearned run. He walked a guy. And Abreu, yeah, they walked it off. So, yeah, it was a sac fly, but, yeah, it's Abreu. He sucks, okay? It's that simple. So you lose that 5-4, but you do bounce back on Tuesday, winning 5-1. Let's see here, my colors pitch pretty well here. Home runs by I'm not even looking at this right. Hold on, I totally got off there. Yeah, they not 8-1. Yeah, it didn't seem right. The Astros won 8-1. So when you score a lot of runs, and it was 2-1 there for a while, Greinke actually pitched very well. But the Astros were up 2-1, and Greinke was sailing along, had a good pitch count. But the Astros scoring 3 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th made me breathe easy because this had the feelings of the game, 2-1, let Greinke go all 9 and just live or die with the result basically because that's all you could hope for. But getting the insurance runs made things easy. Greinke still went 8 innings, I believe. Yeah, 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, didn't walk anybody. So Greinke had a good start there. And then Kent Emanuel, this is what I'm talking about. So you're up 7 runs. So this inning means nothing for Kent Emanuel. And he had a shutout, 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts. So there's a guy I would try in late innings. Dusty Baker, for some reason, refuses to do it. So Emanuel goes in, yeah. He just cleans up what was left of the 8-1 victory. And then Thursday, once again, the Astros win. Oakland scored first, but the Astros scored, Martin Maldonado had a pretty good game. He had a big RBI double. He had a 2-run home run. But the Astros were up 5-2 after 4 innings there. They give up. I mean, this was a tough. So Garcia got the start, but he only went 5 innings. So when you have a starter that goes 5 innings, and you have to find 12 outs out of that bullpen, which is very hard to do. But this was sort of hanging on for life, it felt like, because every inning felt like Oakland was threatening to score. They just couldn't get the big hit, which usually the Astros are easy at giving up. But Raley came in the 6th. He gave up 2 hits. He gave up an earned run. The run was earned. There was a play in the outfield where sort of Miles Straw and Michael Brantley converged on a play, and Miles Straw came off the ball. Brantley wasn't there. It fell in between. There was miscommunication. That's what led to the earned run there for Raley's line. But we did have a lead. That didn't change the game. I mean, it made it a run closer, obviously, at that point in time. ABREU came in. He gave up a hit, got through a scoreless inning. That's a shock. Stanek struggled. He actually didn't give up any runs, but he walked 2 more batters, got 2 strikeouts. And then Presley, who got a third of an out. They actually brought him in the 8th inning for a 4-out save. The Astros were up by 3 at the point, but there were a lot of runners. Like the bases were loaded, I think, when he came in. But he got out of it, and then the Astros added 2 more insurance runs, so it was 8-3 at that point. So Scrubb came in to finish off the game, gave up a home run, but we win that game 8-4. So although the bullpen, we had to use a lot of guys there, we held off. We won. We won the series, which was big. That put us in first place. So after the A series, you're feeling good about yourself. You're now 8 games over 500. You have a half-game lead in the division, and you're going to Texas, where, I mean, you're expecting to win 2 of 3 in Texas, especially after you just swept them in a 4-game set at home. But this was not at all what anybody expected. But again, it's our bullpen. It's our bullpen. It's our bullpen. Yeah. So this will be the tough series to talk about. So Friday they were down. Obviously, this was sort of Urquidy's spot in the rotation. Is on the IL, of course. So this is actually who would pitch second here in the rotation? I guess this is your Urquidy spot. I'm trying to think. So Greinke's your number 1. They had Javier in the number 2 spot initially. He got sent down, brought back up. But Urquidy gets 2. McCullers 3. Well, actually, it's Odorizzi's spot. Who took over for Odorizzi? I think Luis Garcia took over. So this is actually Garcia's spot in the rotation, but they went with A guy they called up, his name is, let's see here, Ivy. So it's Tyler Ivy. He was a guy I guess they called up from AAA. He wasn't great, but again, I mean, what do you expect? He went 4 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs. They were all earned, struck out a batter, or walked a batter, struck out 3. So I mean, he didn't do good. Obviously, I mean, it's his first major league start. So, but yeah, I mean, the Astros were down 4-1 after 5 innings. And it stayed that way for a while. Didn't feel like they were even going to, have a chance, but they strung some hits together. In the 8th inning, scored 3 runs to tie it at 4, so now you're feeling pretty good about your situation there. This was a game Joe Smith pitched in, actually. Went 2/3 of an inning, but no runs, no hits, no walks, no strikeouts, so it was a clean inning for him at least. Emmanuel did get 2 outs after Ivy got pulled. But he walked a batter, gave up a hit, but no runs, so nothing on his line. Belak, a guy I think they should actually consider trying later in games. Belak's sort of your long reliever, a guy you can give a few innings, but I mean that's not useful to the team right now. What's useful to the team is finding a guy that can get outs late in ball games. So Belak, who struck out 2, gave up a hit, but he was clean. Rayleigh came in, another scoreless inning for him. Presley, this was an interesting scenario. So after we tie the game at 4 here in the 9th inning, obviously on the road, so you're going to need Presley to close out the game if you took the lead in extras or at any point. But Dusty decided to use Presley here in a tie game, which I'm not necessarily against. Presley goes to the 9th inning. He faces a little interesting thing here. He faces 7, 8, 9 in the order. So the easier part of the order, you bring in your closer. The Astros then take the lead in the top half of the 10th inning. They score their run with, of course, your automatic runner at second to start the inning. They score that run. Presley threw 10 pitches. In this opportunity, either don't use Presley until you take a lead, or you pitch him the 2nd inning after he only throws 10 pitches. Instead, guess who Dusty Baker goes with? Brian ABREU. And ABREU comes in, and he screws it all up. He gives up 3 runs, 2 of them were earned. The big 3-run home run to Anolis Garcia, whatever the stupid guy's name is, I don't know. But yeah, ABREU screwed that up, and Dusty Baker had some explaining to do after that game. But Presley, I don't know what his whatever his excuse was. It wasn't good enough. I mean, you're going to bring in ABREU after your closer threw 10 pitches. Now he did pitch on Thursday, but got 1 out through 8 pitches that day. This is Dusty Baker, or this is AJ Hinch's way of managing. None of my relievers can go more than 2 days in a row, even when they've had low pitch counts, is what Dusty Baker's basically saying. So there's so many people that could do such a better job at managing ball games than Dusty Baker. Give me a jersey, put me in that dugout, I'd do a much better job than Dusty Baker at managing a bullpen that inept, but finding guys and giving guys chances that at least haven't screwed up for you. Like Brian ABREU. So he comes in, he screws this thing up. Brian ABREU also pitched today, gave up a run. Brian ABREU continues to show you he can't get outs in big situations, yet you continue to use him. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to realize this. I mean, oh, golly. It's hard to keep these things clean. I tell you what. It's very hard to do that. But, yeah. ABREU deserves a lot of blame for that. Now, the Astros did leave 14 runners on base, so the offense, which has been a continuing theme for the offense, can't get timely hits, but Again, the offense did go out there. They did tie the game. They even took the lead, and the bullpen can't do it. So you blow that game. You also take a lead on Saturday's game. You blow that one. The Astros were up here. They're 5-2 or 4-2, 4-3. They give up 5 runs in the 7th. A lot of that was Scrubb. So another guy that started the season late, came in, was getting big outs at one point, but now he's struggled. So actually, before I even Paredes came in this game. He, again, struggled to throw strikes. Also made a costly error. So the runs that he gives up 3 runs. I think a few of them were inherited. A few of them were, I think, to Scrubb's line. There should be a rule. If you're a pitcher and you make the error that causes those should be charged to your earned run average. If you're the one that makes that error, and there's a lot of other different things you can go, like FIP, I think, is one of those fielding independent pitching, which I think it affects that if you cause an error. I don't know. Paredes was bad. He again couldn't throw strikes. That's nothing new there. And there was one point in this game where Maldonado, after 2 pitches and they weren't even close to the strike zone, Maldonado just like you could just tell by his body language. He was like, calm down. And I'd throw a few cuss words in there, but I'm not going to do that. But he can't control himself. You can't use a pitcher that can't control himself. But yeah, Bielak came in 2/3 scoreless innings. So and McCullers, who went 5 innings, ran the pitch count up. So McCullers comes out. He walks 3 hitters in the first inning. He threw 40 pitches to get to the first inning. So McCullers is like a lot of the bullpen guys that are like, he's like with Paredes. He walks tons of guys and can't calm the hell down. But yeah, he went 5, so he had the chance to win the game, but he didn't pitch particularly well. Walked 4 guys, struck out 7, but gave up 3 runs. They were earned. Bielak got 2 outs, and then you go to Scrubb, who gets 2 outs, but allows 2 earned runs. But Paredes is really the one in this game that really screwed things up. So that's 2 games in a row where Paredes just, he is who he is. Can't trust him at all. He sucks. Scrubb sucks. We know Brian ABREU sucks. Those are 3 guys I do not want to see pitching on this team in any close game. But Dusty Baker will do Dusty Baker. They'll be out there probably Tuesday or Wednesday, and they'll be giving up runs and blowing any chance at games that we have to win. Dusty Baker will find a way to put in the recipe for disaster, basically. Stanek comes in. They were losing at the point. Stanek needed an inning to sort of try to get back on track. It was a good scoreless 1-2-3, 2 strikeout inning for Stanek there. So if you want some silver lining, I guess that's it. But they still lost. So, and then today, so I wanted to pull out my phone because I can tell you what happened today. The offense was pretty bad against Mike Fultonevich, who's been a terrible pitcher this year. His ERA is like at 6 or 7. The Astros couldn't do anything off of him. In fact, they got like 1-2 hits. So you can't blame the offense for not, cashing in the runners on base that you would usually have because, well, they never had the opportunity. So Christian Javier got the start. He got off to a pretty good start, but he walked 6 or 7. Let me see here. So Javier wasn't good because he couldn't go deep into games. So if you can't go deep into games, you let our bullpen really screw things up for you. But, he gave up, what did he go, 4 2/3? So I don't even want to really look at this game. But, 4 2/3, 6 walks, struck out 5. Brooks Raley comes in to try to get the final out there in the 5th inning. What does Raley usually do to the first left-handed hitter he faces? He walks him, which is exactly what he did. Walked in the run. Obviously not charged to his line, but Raley deserves some accountability for that. You can't walk hitters. as a bullpen pitcher, especially when you come into jams. That's what he did. Now, he did get the final out there and had a good sixth inning. So Rayleigh's actually pitched well his last 5 outings. I'm not ready to take his name off the list because the minute I do, the minute I give him credit, he'll prove to me that he's not good. So Rayleigh, whose ERA is actually down to 6.52, if he can get his ERA down to 3, I'll finally give him credit. But right now is not the time. ABREU comes in, gives up an earned run. What else is new? Stanek comes in, struggled in his inning, but did get out of it, walked a guy, didn't give up any runs. So Stanek's ERA is back under 4. It was over 4 a little bit there. ABREU's ERA at 4.38, and that will continue to rise, especially if Dusty Baker continues to use him. And Presley comes in. So I will give Dusty credit on this. So when the Astros tied the game, because the Rangers led 2-0, the Astros tied it. There was a pass ball that scored a run, and Brantley had an RBI sort of ground out. So we tied the game at 2, and you're in the 8th inning. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, you have Ryan Stanek and you have Ryan Presley. You find a way to use both those guys basically to finish out the game. So after Stanek did struggle but got through his inning unscathed, obviously he wasn't going to come back out. And I'm thinking, all right, you have a day off tomorrow, so you use, if Presley throws 40 pitches, well, I'll allow him to throw 40 pitches. If that took 3 innings, so be it. But I was not going to allow anybody else in this game. I was going to lose this game with Ryan Presley, which they did, but I'm okay with that. But I go back to the inning before Stanek came in. Brian ABREU gave up a very costly second run, as it turns out. So Brian ABREU all week was just terrible. And he's been terrible pretty much the entire year, let's be honest. He hasn't been good. He sucks. He should be in AAA. He should not be up here. If I'm Dusty Baker, I know they talked to James Click, the GM, was asked about our bullpen inefficiencies, and he said we have to find a way to solve this issue within the organization. What he's saying is we have to use the guys we've got. We got to find some consistency somewhere. No, I don't agree with that. In fact, I would start lining up people in AAA and give them a chance, because the guys you got right now, when it comes to Brooks Raley, Andre Scrubb, and Oli Paredes, can't get outs. And Dusty Baker can't be trusted because he continues to go to these guys. So, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's pretty bad. But Presley gave up, had a good 9th inning, I believe. And he threw 10 pitches there. So Dusty Baker brings him back out. He actually made the right decision here. I had no faith that he would, but he shocked the world, made the right decision, and brought him back out for the 10th. Leadoff runner at second. Sack, ground out by Nate Lowe. Got him to third, and then Garcia once again. Let me double check this real quick. Yeah. Adolis Garcia. You brought the infield in, hit a grounder up the middle to win the game. So you live with that loss just because, well, you won't live with it because, I go back and I think Brian ABREU, who gave up another run, very costly run, and they get swept out of Arlington. So you come back home, get the day off, need the day off, and then you now have to face the Dodgers for 2, and then you play San Diego for 3, and then I think you play Boston for 4. So, listen, things are not easy right now. This was an important series. At least take 2 or 3. Stay in first place, because now you got a whole boatload of teams coming in that are not going to make life easy. At least you get these games at home. We'll see what happens, but Dusty Baker's not a good manager. There's a reason he's, managed 17 years and has never won a World Series. He's showing why. So Dusty Baker, this is A.J. Hinch all over again. It's A.J. Hinch 2.0 with Dusty Baker. They can't manage bullpens properly. They can't manage games properly. The offense, I have no problem with the offense. I know they had a bad day today, but the offense has been good. Starters have been good enough. Now starters, again, are struggling to go deeper into games. When I watch games now, it's just like your starter has to go 7 innings for you to have any chance. Unless you're up 5, 6, 7, 8 runs, if you're in the range of leading by 4 or anything fewer, 3-2-1, and your starter can't go 7 innings, you really have no chance. You just have to come to that assumption. So, anyway, so yeah, that's it. The Astros now 26-21. The Angels at least beat the A's today, so the Astros didn't lose a game, but they are a game and a half back. First place in the AL West there. The Angels are just a god-awful team. Every year, it's like the Angels, watch out, Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, watch out for the Angels, Anthony Rendon. All this, every year, people hype up the Angels, and every year they're just a complete crap show, which they are again this year. So the Angels are who I thought they'd be. Every year, people hype them up, and every year they end up sucking. So, yeah, that's who they are. That's who they will be. People are like, wow. Before last year they got Joe Madden. It's like, wow, watch out for this team. Joe Madden's there. Yeah, he's a... Again, managing baseball teams is the easiest job. You're really bad if you find a way to screw it up, which is what Dusty Baker's done this year. Again, Dusty doesn't have a ton to work with, so it is a tough job. But he's made very questionable decisions, and he babies the pitchers, which is what A.J. Hinch would do. Anyway, I'm coming up. It's almost midnight, 5 minutes till here. A little later today, I was watching some NBA basketball playoffs, so I was watching the Jazz and the Grizzlies there, so I missed I would have been on earlier, but did this, so. Yeah, I work a lot of days at the ballpark this week. My broadcasting gig has been sort of, haven't done a game in almost 3 weeks, so with playoffs and, no locations sort of in the nearby vicinity here, so. But anyway, so yeah, that's sort of my quick update on me. But, yeah, I'm trying to think anything else really injury front. Obviously, I know Odorizzi and Valdez are both rehabbing right now, so we'll probably be getting both of them back around the same time, I would think. Then you got basically starters. Urquidy's going to be a while because hasn't. But, you feel like if you can get your starters back, you're going to have about 7 guys that can potentially start, but moving a few of our starters to the bullpen would give us more chances. But I want to see Joe Smith used a little bit more this homestand. And I don't want to see Brian Abreu in any close game at all. I want to see Kent Emanuel a little bit more. I'm sure Dusty will use Brooks Raley because he's been good his last 5 outings or whatever it's been. You got to ride or die with Stanek, of course. Presley doesn't involve the bullpen because he's our closer. Of course, he's part of the bullpen, but it's the guys leading up to Presley, which there's not. Oli Paredes, Andre Scrubb, and Brian Abreu should not see any significant time in close games for a while. But they will, because Dusty Baker's our manager. And Dusty Baker, it's like a scientist who does the same experiment, expecting different results. Dusty Baker will get away with, things here and there, but at the end of the day, they'll come back and, he'll think he has something, and I could just sit here and roast Dusty Baker for the next hour, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wrap things up. 39 minutes, basically, so hope you enjoyed the podcast, though. Please leave your comments in the section below, of course, and like this video, share it with your friends, all that good stuff on YouTube. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because I don't have answers, and if you have some suggested answers, I'd love to hear from you. So please, 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 comments below, and I'll definitely respond if your comment warrants one. But I'll wrap things up there as we're, almost at 40 minutes. So talk to you next Sunday night. Hopefully successful week, better than they did this week. And, we'll go from there. We'll see you then.